But for this conversation where we're going to go, because I think it's a good conversation, can we pull up that tweet, Zach?
The
that
top
one?
10?
Yes, please. So there's these top 10 lists that are being popped up right now, and I think it's a good time to talk about it. And this is with MLB Network's top 10 third baseman right now. And look, I cannot argue with number one. Jose Ramirez, he's a beast. And we had Joe Noga, who covers them on Cleveland.com, said that Jose Ramirez, what he means to that team, superstar. And he is a superstar. Rafael Devers, that dude is one of the best pure hitters in the game. Just absolutely can annihilate the baseball. Oh, Alex Bregman at 3. Manny Machado at 4. Austin Riley 5. Matt Chapman 6. Arenado 7. Muncy 8. Paredes 9. And Suarez 10. And look, this is nothing to take away from this group. It's a great group. And I know it might show a little bit of bias here, but I don't think it is bias, Zach.
Yeah.
What name is missing from that list?
Jordan Westberg.
And so, look, I'm looking at this, and I'm going, okay. Jose Ramirez, Devers, Bregman, Machado, Riley, Chapman. Okay, great. That rest of the list, I don't see why Jordan Westberg wouldn't be on that list, especially looking at the upside. Now, what those guys have done is consistently been the bigs, but Max Muncy's had his up and down moments, Zach. Like, he's had his struggles, still a talented player, but I think people are underselling Jordan Westberg, and I think that's also kind of what happened last year, Zach, where I think fans started to realize after he wasn't available just who really was the heart and soul of the Baltimore Orioles, and that was Jordan Westberg. And a guy you couldn't have asked for anything better from a player. Jordan came up with every big moment. Now I know he finished in 264 and 18 home runs, but keep in mind, he got injured. And that cut his really fantastic second season down. He was 107 games played. He missed a big chunk, 2 months. Came back, which I think he could have used a little bit more time, but he wanted to get back. But prior to the injury, man, he made the All-Star team. Going into the All-Star break, his worst month was, guess what? It was March. He had 9 at-bats. April, May, and June, 311, 278, 264. July, he hit 232. But then that's the last we saw of Jordan Westberg, going down right there. A guy that, to me, can play multiple positions, and I do think he's a guy in this list. I'm not saying he's got to be above 6 and higher, but we in agreement? Jordan Westberg should be as a complete player.
Yeah.
Complete. I think he's in this top 10 right now.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think, and Jordan Westberg's a guy that when he's someone you can't look at stats for. Like you just can't. You can't only look at stats when it comes to Jordan Westberg, because how many times did players hide? All these guys that we talk to, every single one of them were like, "Hey, when the offense started dipping, when we lost Jordan Westberg, the glue to this offense, he was Mr. Consistency. He's when the game's on the line. Who do you want up? It's Jordan Westberg. He's big situation. Who do you want the ball hit to? It's Jordan Westberg." It's one of those guys where he never makes it flashy. It's never going to be the flashy play. It's never going to be the 700-foot home run, whatever it may be. But the dude's going to get it done. He's going to get the job done every single time. It's going to be moments where, hey, we need a big hit. We need to move the runner over, whatever it may be. Jordan Westberg's the guy who went up at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the season, it didn't matter the situation. When the stakes were the highest, it felt like the guy who the Orioles, when they were coming through, it was Jordan Westberg who got the opportunity. So, not taking anything away from any of these guys, but it's hard for me to make a top 10 list. And I know the last time, I believe it was MLB Network made one of these earlier this offseason, Ryan O'Hearn even commented on it and was like, did you guys forget about Jordan Westberg? Because, I'll say
yes.
this, Isaac Paredes had a 2.7 WAR last year in his full season. Westberg had a 2.4 and played significantly less games because of injury. Some of these guys, it does genuinely feel like with Westberg, it's never going to be the flashy stats. He's probably never going to hit the 325. He's not going to hit the 40 home runs. He's probably not going to drive in 150. But he's going to consistently give you the best opportunity to win when he's on the field. It is very hard. And, hell, Ryan, how many times have we sat here during this offseason and people are like, well, why don't the Orioles go for a Bregman? Why don't you go for an Arenado? Why don't you go for one of these, infielders? And it's like, why would you want to take Jordan Westberg out of the lineup? Because he's the glue.
He is the glue. And right now, I know people can look at it. And by the way, when you get injured, it really halts all the momentum that you had. And yes, when Jordan came back, and I mentioned he came back early.
Yeah.
He wasn't fully ready to go. And even when I got to talk to him going into the postseason, he's like, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm here to battle. He didn't make an excuse. That's what I love about Jordan Westberg.
Never will.
But now we'll talk about this on the outside. Yeah, your wrist and you got to be able to hit. That affects you. That impacts you. Oh, and then by the way, when you haven't seen live pitching in a long time, it's really hard to replicate that rhythm. Jordan Westberg would have been a guy that would have reached 25 jacks. He might have gotten to 30.
Yeah.
Like that's how good of a year he was having there. And so it's just recognizing. Now you're hoping, can he take the jump? But I'm going to bet that the 25, soon to be 26-year-old all-star is going to continue to rise his game. And it goes with the entire Orioles roster in general, Zach. The young players and the young core, if they continue to take that next step, this team's going to be very good. But the glue is Jordan Westberg. And I do agree about Mark Vientos, by the way. Great player, very good player. He had a very good year for the Mets. Jordan Westberg would have had probably a very similar year, maybe even better, potentially. Right? Like potentially. Now, Mark only played 111 games, and he had 27 jacks in 111 games.
He's someone who's getting very underlooked.
Very underrated. Very underrated.
He honestly is one of the, everyone points to Lindor and Alonso. He is just as much of a reason why they went on that run.
No doubt.
He was unbelievable that whole year.
No doubt. And you know what, though? That number three name, Alex Bregman. I'm telling you, man. Alex Bregman, he is so good. And maybe for me having a little like man crush on that, he is a good player. And maybe because I got to see him when we were the same high school class, Zach. And so I got to watch Bregman when we were doing there's a showcase or whatever. And when I say this guy did a home run derby, got a metal bat, and he hit everything out, but it wasn't that they were miles and miles out of the park, which some of them felt like it. The consistent swing. The guy from the jump knew how to hit. And his numbers reflect that. Doesn't strike out a lot, knows how to play his positions. We did a video yesterday, and then apparently Alex Cora alluding that he always thought Bregman would be a second baseman. And he still views him as a second baseman, gold glove type of player. I'm like, well, the Red Sox, it could use a second baseman. Whatever team's going to get him, it's going to be an impact.